Segment of the show for today. The guest is Professor Pickard from Tennessee State University and Middle Tennessee State University, and he's talking about some of the problems dealing with Somalia, especially the recent Somalia pirate crises. And of course, Professor Pickard, let's pick up where we left off. And during this last segment, let's see if we might be able to lay down some ground rules in reference to what the United States could or should do in reference to this. And not only the United States, but Western nations that are in a more privileged situation than some of these states find themselves in.
First of all, one reason why I wrote the article on the Tennessee, and I wish they'd run it in the print edition, but they only put it online, is that I think the country should become more aware of these problems because they affect us directly. Of course, if pirates are interrupting shipping in one of the most important shipping lanes in the world, then that affects us. It really does. And if we have to send in the Navy or maybe even pull the Coast Guard in there to do this, and other countries have to, then that's an expensive thing to worry about. It would be less expensive to try to prevent those problems in the first place. I think as far as, well, I'm very much for humanitarian aid and for development aid. Now, in the case of Somalia in the early 80s, I really believe that the donor nations should have met with the Somali government and said, we're really tired of this, and if you don't get it together, we're going to pull out of here. And that would have been tough love, but the refugees would have voted with their feet and gone somewhere else if they weren't.
This is all corruption in terms of how they were using the financial, the aid and other things.
Exactly. You know, they're diverting a lot of supplies. One good thing with the area where I was, the people there were a little more reasonable than the authorities there were a little more reasonable than they were otherwise. We did have a problem in the representative is the top person here. He's like the equivalent of an ambassador. He's a UNHCR representative. When I first came, it was a person named Art DeFair, who was from Canada, a businessman there, and he wasn't a UNHCR professional. And they brought him in to kind of make some changes, kick some butt. And he did, but he was not a very diplomatic man. Now, the person who came in was basically a sycophant who replaced him, Mr. Blavo, who was from Ghana. And in my presence, he went around all over saying, the Americans are causing all these problems. I don't know what the Americans are doing. Well, of course, Americans have an interest in it if they're the donors. I saw the USAID. This is the first time the United States Agency for International Development got into a refugee case. And they, I think, did a good job trying to challenge the government on a lot of this stuff. Now, first of all, you have to, of course, balance the humanitarianism with the practicality, kind of a pH balanced policy, I guess you'd say. And then, but I also believe that we have to do more to try to help these countries develop their economies. We would not have the Mexican economic migrants that we have now if we had done more to help Mexico develop its economy. Sometimes the Mexicans themselves put some barriers in there. They remember that we fought a war with them, and even if most of our students, as you know, don't know that. And I think we need to do, well, we certainly need to do more about controlling our guns here. People from all over the world are coming to the United States now to purchase guns. They're amazed how lax it is to purchase any kind of gun. And we need to do more public education. I spoke recently with Secretary Madeleine Albright, former Secretary of State, who spoke at Vanderbilt, and talked to her about when she first came into office, she wanted to take the foreign policy on the road, do more public education. That did not work out well. She had a very ugly incident at Ohio State with some demonstrators, and it went all over the world. So those are the things we need to be doing, and one reason I wrote the article and one reason I try to do more